In British schools, perhaps 20, 30 years ago, maybe it doesn't happen so much now, you would be, you're a singer, you're not a singer, you're good at reading, you're not good at reading. And we very quickly get pigeonholed. And perhaps teachers didn't know about growth and fixed mindsets at the time, so they didn't know that they were kind of locking children into a belief which really wasn't helpful.
Hi, I'm Damien and welcome to the Success Mindset YouTube channel, and today I'm delighted to be joined again by Caroline Goyder. Welcome, Caroline.
Hello Damien, great to be back.
And thanks for being with us today. And we're going to be talking about growth and fixed mindsets, especially in terms of speaking and speaking publicly. So I guess the first question I've got, Caroline, is when we think about growth and fixed mindset, especially a fixed mindset of, people not feeling confident, where does that come from? What is that for people? What's happening?
So we go back to this notion which comes from Carol S. Dweck about the idea that a fixed mindset is a belief that something is static and it can't change. So for me, when I first got to drama school, they said to me, you have no presence. Your voice is thin, you don't have enough resonance. And I heard all of that criticism and I went, I can't change that. That's identity level stuff. That's just me. And I had a fixed mindset about I can't change. 20 years on, I have a growth mindset, and what I know from my own experience is that a voice is an instrument, your body is an instrument. You can, through practice, change it, improve your understanding, improve your awareness, improve your ability to modulate it. So I've gone from having a fixed mindset, I can't change, to with good habits in place, a lot can change. And it's just like driving, I say to people, when you learn to drive, you go, I'm not a driver yet. And when I practice, I will become one. Well, public speaking is the same. Practice, that's it.
And I guess a lot of these limiting beliefs, and people that watch these videos will see on some of the other videos, we do a lot about Dweck and growth mindset stuff. A lot of it comes from limiting beliefs, especially in childhood. And how much do you think that actually affects people? When you work with people to become better speakers or being able to resonate better, how much of their limiting beliefs comes from early years, do you think?
Oh, it's massive. There's a lovely voice teacher called Frankie Armstrong, who's blind, visually impaired. And she writes beautifully about this, particularly about singing. And she says, the teacher who says at school to a child, you can't sing, that's a really false thing to say to someone, because she says everybody can sing. There are some cultures in the world where you just sing, you sing like you speak. And she said in those cultures, people aren't told they have a bad voice, they have a voice. And I know British culture, and I know that in British schools, perhaps 20, 30 years ago, maybe it doesn't happen so much now, you would be, you're a singer, you're not a singer, you're good at reading, you're not good at reading. And we very quickly get pigeonholed. And perhaps teachers didn't know about growth and fixed mindsets at the time, so they didn't know that they were kind of locking children into a belief which really wasn't helpful. There've always been great teachers who haven't done that right. And teaching is hard, and I've done it, and it might just be that you're having a bad day. But I think the message would be to someone who's been through that experience of a teacher having a bad day and saying, it's not you, it's not identity level, this is about behaviors that you can change. And I would love it if everybody knew that.
And you, when I was listening to your new book, Find Your Voice, yesterday, you gave a lovely summary in that about singing yourself.
Yeah.
And that initially, you thought, I don't have a good singing voice and all of that. And then you did a piece of, I don't think you explicitly mentioned the word reframing, but essentially what you did was reframe in your mind that actually it doesn't matter if other people like my voice or not. It's good enough for me. I like my singing voice and I love being able to sing. And that's the shift that you made in the book. And, I think you said you joined the choir and that kind of stuff. And if you could just tell us maybe a little bit about that story and just how that mind shift really helped you find, well, your ability to sing.
So, I mean, this goes back to Frankie Armstrong, and she talks a lot about the idea that there's no such thing as a bad voice. She talks about God doesn't mind a bum note, which comes from a famous soul singer, and I can't remember which one. And so I was actually in the building that I'm in today, and I heard a choir singing, a local choir. And I was really moved by it. They were singing, I think they were singing London Grammar or something. It was all quite poppy. And I thought, I just would like to be part of that choir. So I joined it. I was totally terrified, but luckily you didn't have to audition. And I remember going along to the first meeting and going, "You're an idiot." They're going to really find you out. They're going to ask you. And it was fine, right? And I still am a bit conscious that I'm maybe not the greatest singer in the world. But the truth is, when you're surrounded by other people all singing, you don't have to be Maria Callas or Pavarotti. You just have to give it some welly and show up with enthusiasm and not hit totally the wrong notes. And it works fine. And I think it's getting rid of that self-consciousness and thinking about how we contribute to the whole. That often is the way out of that very fixed thinking. Because if you're paying attention to everybody else and the choir, you're not self-conscious anymore. And that's true for public speaking as well. Think about how you can contribute. Forget about whether you're good, better, worse. Really doesn't matter. Who cares?
Absolutely. And we've been talking about limiting beliefs in this video, and of course, you've written 2 books. You're world-renowned voice coach and author. Come across very, very eloquently, as of course you would. Of course you wouldn't get nervous before a big event like your TED Talk that's just hit over 8 million views. But I know from speaking to you previously that, no matter how experienced you are, you still have these moments. And I just wondered if you could talk us through your TED Talk and maybe how it came about, and also the feelings that you had and that kind of thing before you went out on the stage, because it was a huge audience.
So, gosh, the TED Talk was something that utterly terrified me. I said I had been coaching as a speaker coach at TEDx Brixton, and Stephanie Basari, who runs it and is now running CNN in Lagos in Nigeria, is just a really inspiring, amazing woman. And she said, "Do you want to do a talk?" And so I pitched one, and they said yes. And at the moment it went in the diary, I just felt this grip of fear. But what I know, and I learned this as an actor, I'm not an actor, but I trained as one. And what you learn as an actor is that if you feel frightened about something, that's your cue to do the work. Because the only thing that's going to move you from fear to readiness, I mean, Hamlet says the readiness is all, is rehearsal. And in rehearsing, you get better. And that means when you walk out on stage, it'll be good enough. Might not be perfect, it'll be good enough. So I sat down, I was in Oxford that day, and I sat down on the steps of the Radcliffe Camera in the centre of Oxford, and I put into my diary rehearsal, write speech, practice. And I emailed a lady who I knew could help me with content, and I emailed a brilliant stand-up comedy coach because I knew he could help me with delivery. And so I felt utter terror, but I took control of the diary because I know that is the only way to get through the terror. And that's my growth mindset around getting better, that you just have to commit time and you will get better.
And it's just hit over 8 million views. I think it was last month it went over 8 million views, which is mental. An extraordinary amount of people, Caroline. I mean, when you think about those numbers, I mean, how does it feel to have done a talk that's resonated with so many people?
Yeah, I mean, it's like more than the population of Norway or Scotland, isn't it? It's, imagine if I talked to the whole population of Norway or something. I can't even get my head around the numbers. But what's lovely, what it's taught me is that lots of people want to know about speaking with confidence. And I think that tells us quite a lot about how much people worry about it. And I think that's very humanizing and makes us all feel okay about feeling nervous, because we all do.
And if someone's watching this and they think, you know what, I've got a presentation at work or whatever it might be, and I do have these limiting beliefs, you know, if I know I've got this presentation coming up, I just get this grip and I just can't get rid of it. Is there anything, whether it be a psychological trick or something with the voice or preparation, is there anything that people could do to just calm themselves, or just really give themselves the best opportunity to shine in those situations?
So there's a couple of things. The first thing I would say to someone is, notice how you speak when you're chatting to your dearest, oldest mates, right? Because that's your nervous system at peace. And that's the part of you that you want to show up with on stage. So notice how you breathe, notice how your voice is, notice how you gesture, notice how you smile. And then start to be curious about, if I could take that me and put that person on stage, what would that be like? That's not enough. So you recognize that's the easy state, and then you need to practice being in that state with your speech. So my invitation is, take your phone, put it on voice notes, get your speech, maybe speaker notes or bullet points or mind map, however you like to work, and run the speech, recording it into your phone or on Zoom, and starting to notice, how close is this to the conversational me that I want? And if you keep practicing, it will start to feel conversational. And at that point, go practice it on a stage, or go practice it in front of someone you really respect. And as it meets the pressure of performance, you'll find that you can start to find this conversational ease. So it's practicing ease. Rehearsed spontaneity is what actors call it.
And I love that, speaking to an old friend. That's a really nice analogy. And again, it's reframing, isn't it? It's reframing your mind to, rather than, you know what, I'm going out to speak in front of 800 people or 100 people, or even if it's 10 people, you know, it's not really the numbers. It's something that closes people down in their minds sometimes, just the fear of opening themselves up to other people. But that reframe of, actually, you know what, I'm going to go in there and just talk to them like I've known them for 20 years and they're my best friends. And that's a really, really, you know, huge shift, isn't it, in the way you approach that?
It's massive. And someone once said to me, I think they were a politician, they said, but if I'm at a hustings and half the audience hate me, should I do that? And actually, of course, yeah, in that situation, you might want to be a bit more armored. But if you can show up with ease in your system, then your brain can function better. You won't be so defensive. So even when you are with people who might disagree with your message, actually that feeling of ease is powerful. We see it in, I'm loath to talk about politicians in this country, but you see it in the kind of Angela Merkel characters who respond to really difficult stuff with a sense of measured ease. And it's really powerful.
And I guess when you feel calm, all those around you will feel calm as well. And when you're talking fast and you feel panicked and you're a bit rushy, then other people are going to be a bit jumpy and a bit panicked and a bit rushy, aren't they? Do you know what? That's brilliant, Caroline. Thank you so much for your time on this topic today. And I know you're going to be joining us for another topic soon, but thank you so much for your time, Caroline.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Damien.
Thank you.